of all, I understand that the mayor wants answers. Unfortunately, at this time, I do not have them. You need to give my people some time to work. Can we do that? Thank you. Stay. This day. Hello. You look like a new arrival. Yeah, your guild. No, they won't be in the guild hall. They'll be in the main hall waiting for an update on the situation over the tower library, which is where I just came from. I am going to go make it look a little less like a building fell on me, and then I'll be right there. Why don't you have a seat? Yes. Hello, my lovely friend, it's Margaret, and this is the part of the video where usually I would say, welcome to the channel, but today I get to take it a step further and let you guys in on a little secret that I have been keeping for months now. This is months of planning culminating in me saying, welcome to Fablen, the sudden rise of the Shadow Library. This is a Dungeons & Dragons inspired competitive readathon that will be taking you through the 5 acts of a modified Dungeons & Dragons campaign. The readathon will be taking place throughout the month of October. Today I'll be walking you through the basics, including rules, how you get points, basic character building things. Also, while I will be doing my best to capture the magic of a Dungeons & Dragons campaign, you don't need to know anything about Dungeons & Dragons in order to participate. Everything that you need to know will be linked down in the description. Speaking of D&D, it wouldn't be a D&D inspired readathon without a little bit of storytelling to get us started. If you're not interested in that, there will be timestamps down below so you can skip straight to the rules. But for those of you that are, let me set the scene for you. You make your way to the main hall of the Adventurers League. Inside, you find a familiar scene. A large hall set with trestle tables. On the walls, you can see the banners of the guilds in residence. One of those is the banner for your own guild. You and your party make your way, weaving through the crowd until you have found a table full of your own guildmates. They are welcoming and happy to see you. You take your seat as whispers flit amongst the table about what has been going on in Coniston lately. Some of the rumors that you hear echoing throughout the main hall are familiar. They're rumors that you heard on the streets of Coniston as you made your way here. You sit exchanging theories with your fellows until finally the woman you spoke with earlier re-enters the room. She looks a little more put together than when you first saw her. The dirt has been cleared away for the most part, and she seems to be in control of herself and in control of the situation as a hush falls over the guild hall. You all wait with bated breath as she opens her mouth and begins to speak. Welcome, adventurers. Many of you know me, but for those of you that don't, I'm Magdalene Embercloak. I am one of the Questmasters here at the Coniston Adventurers League. We appreciate everyone coming on such short notice. Yesterday, the citizens of Coniston woke to find the city's oldest library covered in vines. Gathering information without entering the library has been difficult, but this is the little that we know so far. Several of the librarians reported that certain books in the collection, specifically those granted a level of sentience, have seemed restless in the last few days. Considering the ley line migration last spring, they didn't think much of it, but you've seen the results. Also, in the last week, the library has received 3 shipments containing potentially dangerous books. Unfortunately, those records are inside the library, and the only person that would have full knowledge of what was on those manifests is currently missing. This brings us to the final bit of information that we have been able to glean, and that is that the head librarian, Muriel Cornwallis, has gone missing. From what I've gathered, she was investigating strange noises that the night librarian had heard over the past few evenings, and no one has seen her since. Obviously, the Tower Library is a beloved destination here in Coniston. I know it was a favorite haunt of many of us in our childhoods. More importantly, it safeguards more than a few dangerous artifacts, some of which the guilds here were responsible for retrieving. We need to find out what is going on, and we need to find out fast. Your mission is to go to the library, find a way in, and figure out what in the hells is going on and how we fix it. And so begins your quest. Alright, with that bit of backstory laid out for you, let's talk about how this readathon is going to work. As I mentioned, it's going to be running from midnight October 1st until midnight October 31st. That would be in Eastern Standard Time, as that is my time zone, is the easiest one for me to keep track of. You will need to join the Fablen Discord or have a friend that can keep an eye on it for you if you want to participate. All of the announcements, the information on the encounters, the rankings, all of that will be in the Discord. When you join the Discord, one of the first things you'll want to make sure you do is to fill out the participation form and then choose your guild. There are 3 different guilds that you will have the opportunity to choose from. The first one is the Shadow Aegis. The Shadow Aegis is a secretive society of adventurers bound by a common goal: maintaining the veil between Fablen and whatever happens next. They are often present when supernatural dealings are afoot. Their symbol is the screech owl, and they are associated with the color white. Your guildmasters for the Shadow Aegis will be Leandra the TBR0, Thor from Thor Wants Another Letter, and Neva from Reading with Neva. The next guild you could choose is the Crimson Wardens, a group of monster hunters for hire. The Wardens specialize in tracking down all manner of undead. They travel from town to town, seeking places that lack balance between the living and the dead. They are adventurous, intuitive, and brash. Their symbol is the bleeding moon, and the color associated with them is red. Your guildmasters for the Crimson Wardens are Jess from the Hex Library, Julie from Keep Calm with Books and Coffee, and Crystal from Bond Book Reviews. And the final guild that you could choose from is the Order of the Golden Rune. A distinct presence in Coniston, the Order is dedicated to the study and preservation of rare magical artifacts. Many members occupy academic positions in the city's renowned universities. They are curious, well-connected, and erudite. Their symbol is the pen crossed with a sword, and the color associated with them is yellow. Your guildmasters for the Order of the Golden Rune will be Eva over at Pretty Purple Polka Dots, Brittany over at Brittany Loves Reading, and Nell over at Nell Diamond. I will also be joined in my quest mastering duties by fellow mischief maker Brianna over at Four Paws in a Book. She will be helping with a lot of the behind the scenes stuff that will be going on. I'll have each of my lovely friends who are helping me out linked below in the description box. Please make sure that you check out their channels, and if you like the vibes, subscribe. Now that you know a little bit about who you might be playing with, let's talk about how to play. Each act of the campaign is going to consist of 2 different elements. First, we will have the main story arc, or the main quest. The main plot points of this story have been split into encounters and divided amongst the 5 different acts. For each act, you will need to complete all of the encounters before you can move on to the next act. However, unless otherwise specified, you do not have to complete those encounters in any specific order. What that means is that if, for example, an act has 4 encounters, you can complete those encounters in any order. However, there are a few places where you may find that an encounter needs to be completed first before you can continue on to further encounters. Please make sure that you watch or read the prompt instructions carefully, as not every prompt may be what it appears to be at first. For each encounter, you will be presented with a few options for how you can solve that encounter. You'll choose the solution that you think best fits your character or best fits your TBR. That's valid too. And then you will read a book that matches the prompt for that solution. You can only choose one solution per encounter, and you cannot double up unless otherwise specified. It also would not be a game of Dungeons and Dragons if there wasn't the ability for y'all to do some side quests. There will be 2 types of side quests in this readathon. Both of these side quest options will be time sensitive. The first will be tied to the act that you are in. At the beginning of the act, there will be side quests that drop with the main encounters. They will only be available for completion during the duration of that act, and you will need to be in that act in order to do them. I want to stress that these are for my people that are especially fast readers. You are not any less valid if you are only able to complete the main encounter prompts. These are just for the people who need a little something to keep them busy while they're waiting for the next act to drop. The other type of side quests will be dropping randomly. Players will have a specified number of hours to complete these. You do not have to be in any specific act in order to participate. At the end of each act, guilds will be ranked based on the average of their accumulated points. The guild that is in first place will receive a small reward that may help them in the next act, and the guild that is in last place will be given an extra little challenge that they will need to do in the next round. Now, I could not claim that I was trying to capture the magic of Dungeons and Dragons if I didn't give y'all an opportunity to roll your way out of consequences. Me and your fellow guildmasters are currently compiling a list of favorite books that you might be interested in checking out. If, in the round where your team lost, you read a host fave for one of the prompts, you will be able to roll a d20. Depending on what you roll, you may be able to swap your challenge out for a completely different challenge or escape the consequences of losing entirely. Even if you are planning on your team never losing a round, you might still want to pay attention to the Guildmaster favorites because they might just contain clues for what the adventure holds. Now, I can hear you guys already. You're asking, Margaret, how do the books translate into points? Very simply, we are going to be sticking with the tried and true method of 1 page equals 1 point. There are a few things to keep in mind. For my manga and my graphic novel readers, each volume is going to count for 100 pages, unless you're doing one of those 3-in-1 manga bind-ups, in which case that can count for 300 pages. For novellas and short stories, they need to be at least 50 pages. In order to submit DNFs, you will need to have read at least 50% of the book, and you will only count the number of pages that you actually ended up reading. The same goes for books that you maybe started before October. At least 50% needs to have been read in October, and you can only count the number of pages that you read during the readathon. There are 3 different ways that you can accumulate points for this readathon. The first is by completing those main quest encounters. The second way is obviously by completing those side quests. Each one will have a specific number of points that is attached to the quest. And the third way that you can earn points are through bonuses. You have 1 bonus attached to your guild and 3 bonuses attached to your character. These are of course optional and apply to both the main quest and the side quest. For the guild bonus, you'll be able to add an additional 25 points when 40% or more of the book's cover is the color of your guild. Your character bonuses are going to be determined by specific traits you will choose when building a character. You will get 25 additional points each for reading a book that matches your character's species, occupation, and weapon. That brings us to character building. There will be more information in the rules document linked down below. I'm just going to go through each of the 3 categories and kind of what they mean for your reading. For character building, there are only 3 traits that you need to worry about. This is not nearly as complicated as proper Dungeons and Dragons. I'm not going to do that to you. Although, if you want to use this to build an actual Dungeons and Dragons character, talk to me. I have the information that you would need for that as well. The first thing you are going to be choosing is your species. This is going to have an effect on what kind of book you are reading. I did my best to come up with things that embodied some element of the species that we know from Dungeons and Dragons. The species that you can choose from are human. In this case, you get extra points if you read contemporary fiction. You can also play an elf. You will get extra points if you read fantasy. If you play a dwarf, you will get extra points for reading historical fiction. If you play a halfling, you will get extra points for reading a kidlit. Again, it does need to meet that 50-page mark, and picture books are not going to count, but chapter books, middle grade, YA, all count for this. If you play a changeling, you will get extra points for reading any sort of suspense book. So that's mystery, thriller, horror, those kinds of genres. If you play a half-elf, you will get extra points for reading a genre blend. If you play a tiefling, you will get extra points anytime you read a book that features celestial characters. Playing an orc means that you will get extra points for any book you read that is over 400 pages. Playing a gnome means you will get extra points for any book that has 4 or more words in the title. If you play a fairy, you will get extra points for reading romance books. And if you play a dragonborn, you will get extra points for reading a classic. Now, every adventurer needs some sort of occupation, some sort of special skill that they bring to the party. The occupations available are charlatan, healer, mage, and martial. Each occupation has a list of words that is associated with their job. And if you read a book that has any of these words in the title, you will get 25 extra points for that. And then the final thing you will be choosing is your weapon. These are based on the different things that you might find on your TBR and maybe need to take care of. So the weapons you can choose from, obviously, we've got to get the sword in there. For that, you will get extra points anytime you read a new release. You can also choose the daggers, in which case you will get extra points anytime you read a sequel. You can choose the bow, in which case you will get extra points anytime you read an arc. If you don't have any arcs, you can substitute any books that you received for free. If you choose the mace, you will get extra points for reading backlist books. If you choose the quarterstaff, you will get extra points for reading library books. And if you choose the axe, you can get extra points for reading books that are on a specific TBR. So your Goodreads TBR, your physical TBR, your TBR card, you can fill in the blank there as you see fit. There is one way besides points that you can maybe get a leg up on your competition. You may have noticed that one of our hosts just announced her own readathon for October. October. Leandra and I have decided that we are going to be forging a little alliance between our two readathons. So if you are participating in Fablen and participating in TBR Harvest, your character is going to be getting a magical item called the Ring of Illusion. Now what this ring does is it's going to make it a little bit easier for you to participate in more than one readathon in the month of October. Now this ring can only be used on the main story encounters, and it can only be used starting in Act 2. The Ring of Illusion is a one-time use item, after which its magic is depleted and it can no longer be used. The way that it works is you will be able to use the magic of the ring to swap out the solution for one of the encounters with any prompt from another readathon that you are doing. We're rapidly making our way to the end of this video, but first there are just a few more things that you need to know. I am going to be opening up Act 1 on September 30th. That'll give you just a little bit of time to plan. Go time will be, as I said before, midnight on October 1st. I know I will be putting out an FAQ video with all of y'all's most frequently asked questions. Also, keep an eye on your Questmaster and Guildmasters channels. We may be releasing some clues. And the final thing that I'm so excited to be showing you guys this is that we have merch. We will have t-shirts, sweatshirts, all of that good stuff on Bonfire. I'll put them over here. I'm in the process of finalizing the designs right now, but I am planning on having like a main logo thing, and then I'm also going to have some options for y'all for your guild. Also, for the first time ever with me doing a readathon, I have bookmarks. We have these really fun The Sudden Rise of the Shadow Library bookmarks with the main campaign logo, as well as, can we do this without my face? There we go. As well as the Fablen logo on the other side. If you would like any of these things, they will be linked down in the description. I am so excited to finally be bringing this readathon to y'all. I've been working and planning on this for over a year at this point. It is my little baby, and I hope that you are able to have as much fun playing as I have dreaming these things up for you. If you are looking for an idea of what Fablen might have in store for you, I will have my Fablen playlist from when it was a TBR game over here. It's going to be a little bit different from what I was playing, but we'll still have a lot of fun. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also, if you like the vibes, go ahead and hit that subscribe button over there. That is it for now, my friends. Happy reading and adventuring, and I will see you later when we will talk about more wordy, nerdy things. Bye!